Discover how a reluctant billionaire found incredible love with a homeless girl in just 30 days. Ethan Hart stood in the lobby of his towering skyscraper, the view of San Francisco's shimmering skyline behind him. For the world, he was a tech mogul, a golden boy born into privilege. But inside, he felt like a ghost. The laughter from gala attendees echoed through his mind, drowning out the hollow clinks of champagne glasses that felt more like chains than celebration. Here he was, a man molded by expectation, trapped in the gilded cage of his family's legacy, yearning for something real, yet feeling more alone than ever. The charity gala was meant to raise funds for the city's homeless, an issue his family had made their legacy. So, he put on the mask, shook hands, exchanged hollow pleasantries, all while contemplating an escape. The bright lights and phony smiles suffocated him, a stark contrast to the dim shadows just a block away where real lives, real struggles were happening. As he turned to flee, he caught sight of her. Lily. She stood defiant, her makeshift cart nearby, rallying a ragtag group of onlookers to donate to a local shelter. Her spirit cut through him like a hot knife. The laughter and chatters faded as she implored, "We can change lives. Your spare change can make a difference." He watched in awe, feeling drawn to her fire, then chaos erupted. A careless guest bumped into her cart, sending its contents crashing onto the pavement. Before he even thought, Ethan was on the ground, collecting scattered blankets and old books, his heart racing. Their eyes met, her fierce emerald gaze piercing through the clatter of the world around them. A flicker of recognition sparked between them, a connection that sent shivers down his spine. "Thank you," she said, her voice steady despite the pandemonium. And in that simple acknowledgement, something in Ethan shifted. For the first time, he didn't feel like just a billionaire. He felt needed. Over the next 30 days, they met in brief moments of stolen time. In the nooks between his meetings, he learned of her harsh reality, the biting cold beneath freeway overpasses, the judgmental glares from elites like him. Each story she shared chipped away at the walls he built around himself. With every laugh, every shared story, his heart opened wider. Lily's tenacity pierced through his careful facade, and soon, he craved those shared moments deeply. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let us continue. But as their friendship blossomed, so did the tensions in Ethan's life. Friends frowned upon his involvement with Lily. "What are you doing?" they whispered. "You know better than to get mixed up with someone like her." Their judgment echoed in his mind, but it was Lily's unyielding spirit that illuminated a path for him, urging him to dig deeper into his desires, to challenge norms. Just when Ethan gathered the courage to confront his family about Lily, a crisis threatened to tear them apart. His parents needed him to play the dutiful son, and the pressure swelled. Faced with a choice, a life of safety and influence or the wild, messy love he found with a girl who had shown him the depths of human connection, Ethan stood at a precipice. Could he break free from all he had known and embrace an unpredictable future? As he wrestled with his heart, he wondered if love could truly conquer the rampant disparities around them. With unanswered questions looming over his head, Ethan realized that true belonging comes at a cost. What was he willing to sacrifice for Lily? The world he knew felt suddenly distant, and the path ahead, uncertain but tinged with promise. Ethan grappled with his thoughts as he stood at the edge of the bustling gala, the sound of laughter and clinking glasses a dull hum in his ears. The weight of his family's expectations loomed heavily. He had never felt so free and so trapped at the same time. He glanced toward the entrance, where Lily often emerged like a burst of sunlight, casting aside his shadowy doubts. The moments they shared flickered in his mind like a well-worn film reel, each laugh, every earnest conversation, and the way her eyes sparkled when she spoke of her dreams fueled a longing inside him. But the world around him moved on, Blissfully unaware of the complexity roiling within his heart, his phone buzzed, a reminder of every obligation awaiting him. His parents had scheduled a dinner that evening. "Meet us at 7, the text read, as if indifference dripped off each word. It was unspoken but undeniably clear. They would not accept any excuse, but he had a different plan in mind, a plan that could either bridge their worlds or shatter it entirely. He wanted Lily to meet them. The idea made his stomach twist. Would they see her spirit? Or would they only notice the ragged edges of her reality, the misfortune that the Hart family had spent generations ignoring? As the gala wore on, he felt himself tune out the noise. He could picture Lily now, standing amidst loyal hearts, offering warmth to those who had nothing. It was a contrast so stark and beautiful, it made every luxury he knew feel like a burden. He needed to tell her. No, he needed to show her what she had awakened in him. He wanted her to fully step into his world, but he feared what that could mean for both of them. The night slipped away, and as he stepped outside into the cool San Francisco air, his mind raced. He navigated the streets where he had first seen her, only to find himself face to face with the reality of her world. The corners where people sought shelter whispered tales of survival. He clenched his fists, anger bubbling up inside him. It was time to change things. When he finally found her, she was on the move again, carrying bags filled with supplies for those in need. He stopped her, breathless, heart pounding. "Lily!" He called out, and she turned, her face lighting up. "Ethan! I didn't expect to see you here." He stepped closer, urgency coloring his voice. "I need to ask you something important. Will you come to dinner with me? My family needs to meet you." Her smile faltered, uncertainty creeping into her eyes. "Dinner? With your family?" He nodded, determination coursing through him. "Yes. I know it sounds crazy, but I want you there. They need to understand why you matter so much to me." But Ethan, she hesitated, and he could see the wheels turning in her mind, concealing fears he understood only too well. "What if they don't see me the way you do? I'm not them." He could feel the tension spiraling in the air between them. "No, you aren't," he urged, trying to articulate the thoughts racing through him. "You're better than all of them combined. You have a heart they'll never understand." As her gaze softened, he held his breath, waiting for her response. But the silence hung heavy. "What if I don't fit in?" she finally asked, vulnerability cracking her voice. That he stepped closer, tilting her chin up so their eyes met. "You'll change them, Lily. You will." Just then, his phone vibrated incessantly in his pocket, the reminder of a life he was desperately trying to escape. He glanced at the screen, anxiety crawling through him. If his family found out he had brought her into their world, would it push them further apart? Would he lose Lily in the process? In that moment, the stakes felt higher than ever. "What if they reject me?" she whispered, fear seeping into her tone. Ethan's heart raced. This moment could change everything. He could nearly feel the fissures forming, yet it was a moment packed with potential. "Then I'll fight for you, Lily. No matter what." And with those words, he realized how right he had been all along. Love wasn't just about choosing someone, it was about fighting for them. "Are you ready?" he asked, anticipation mixing with dread. As they stood there, the city an electric backdrop, uncertainty cemented between them, Ethan knew this was just the beginning. What would happen when their two worlds collided? Would love be enough to withstand the pressure? His mind whirled with questions, his heart hammering against the possibilities. As they locked eyes, the air charged with unspoken words, he knew one thing for sure, their story was only just beginning. Ethan felt the world around him fade, the city lights blurring into a backdrop to the intensity of this moment. He searched Lily's eyes, desperate to find any glimmer of hope or certainty. But she was so caught in a whirlwind of emotions, torn between fear and the belief that she could make a difference. "Just think about it," he encouraged, his voice softer now. "Just one dinner. You won't have to hide. You could show them the real you, and trust me, they need to see you. She hesitated, looking down at her worn sneakers. You see me as someone who could belong there. But I don't know. Lily, he insisted, you belong anywhere you choose to be. Her lips curled into a soft smile, but it didn't reach her eyes. I'm scared, Ethan, she finally confessed, her voice barely above a whisper. You know what they say about people like me. What if I'm just a charity case to them? The thought made his heart ache. You're so much more than that. You're not a charity. You give so much to others, and you've shown me more about life than they ever could. They need that. You need to show them that. He took a step back, letting the energy between them shift into a more resolute understanding. Lily took a deep breath, her shoulders visibly relaxing. Okay, one dinner. But only if you promise to be there for me. In case things go sideways. Always, he said, his voice steady. Dread mingled with elation as he thought about how their worlds would soon clash. Her eyes softened, and for a moment, they were both hopeful. But then the weight of the evening settled back in, shrouded in uncertainty. Ethan felt it like an iron clank inside his chest, a reminder of the obligations he carried and the friction they would create. What was he doing? Introducing the girl who had illuminated his life to the very people who seemed to extinguish dreams with cold detachment. And yet he could feel the thrill at the thought of standing up for her. They would need to come together even as their lives screamed divergence. As they talked, Lily shared her dreams, her laughter dancing through the air. For the first time in a while, he felt light. But it came with a wave of reality crashing, and their joy was intertwined with an unasked question: would his family soften? Or would they harden into the brick walls that had shaped him? After an hour passed, he asked, "Can we go for a walk? I want to show you something." Lily nodded, curiosity replacing some of her apprehension. He led her down familiar streets, illuminated by starlight and the flicker of street lamps. The path seemed to pulse with possibilities, and the air grew vibrant with a mix of uncertainty and hope. Finally, they arrived outside a small square where he often volunteered. "This is where I come to give back," he said, stepping aside to let her see the space transformed into a bustling community kitchen. "It's beautiful," she said, her voice filled with wonder. "Just like you," he replied, glancing sideways to gauge her reaction. Her cheeks flushed a light pink, but the weight of the words lingered. "Ethan, this is where you fit in, right?" she asked, a hint of skepticism returning. "It is, but I see you too. You have the power to impact this place, Lily. More than I could alone." "Impacted how?" Her tone was playful, masking the fear underneath. "I don't know yet," he said, grinning. "But I think you're already doing it." He could feel her start to believe. The laughter between them began to feel like a bridge. Yet the looming dinner hung in the air like a dark cloud. As they locked eyes again, their fingers brushed. It was electric, kicking up a surge of connection they couldn't ignore. "Tomorrow, then?" he ventured, feeling both nervous and excited. "Tomorrow," she echoed, a smile breaking across her face, as if it lit up the entire square. But even as joy surged in him, questions loomed heavier than before. How would she handle it? How would his parents respond? And in his heart, a deeper worry wormed its way in. What if, just maybe, this had been a mistake? As they walked away, Ethan couldn't shake the feeling that the real challenge was just about to begin, and tomorrow, at the dinner table, the truth might emerge in ways none of them expected. What would happen when the curtain finally lifted on their lives? Would acceptance greet them, or would this be their final act of hope? The sun barely peeked over the horizon the next day, as if it too was anxious about what the day would bring. Ethan lay awake, staring at the ceiling, his mind swirling with worries. The weight of the upcoming dinner pressed down on him like a heavy blanket. Every tick of the clock echoed his uncertainty. What if his parents didn't accept her? What if they humiliated her? The mix of excitement and dread clashed violently inside him. He jumped out of bed and got ready, trying to ignore the nerves that clenched his stomach. As the clock approached 6, Ethan walked briskly to Lily's favorite cafe. He already imagined their usual seats, the little corner table flooded with sunlight. And there she was, tapping her foot nervously under the table, her eyes darting around as if finding solace in the familiar surroundings. "Hey," he greeted, trying to inject some cheer into his tone. "Hey," she replied, her smile faltering at her corner of the mouth. "Ready for tonight?" he asked, a hopeful edge in his voice. She took a deep breath, the air shimmering with her unease. "I guess. I have to remind myself why I'm going. For you. Let's just enjoy the moment," he replied, attempting to lighten the atmosphere. They sipped their coffees, and Ethan took a moment to observe her, the way her brows knitted together in thought, the way she tucked a loose hair behind her ear. "I wish I could just be more like you," she confessed suddenly, her gaze dropping to the cup. "You're so confident, so sure of yourself." The words hung in the air, heavy with vulnerability. Ethan leaned in closer. "You are unique, Lily. You shine in a way I can't. You just need to realize it." She laughed softly, but the sound was tinged with sadness. "Maybe I'll figure that out tonight. Or maybe I'll embarrass myself." "No chance," he said, smiling. "You'll amaze them. Just be you." As they left the cafe, Ethan noticed the streets were buzzing with life, but inside, he felt like a storm was brewing. He couldn't shake the fears creeping in, but he didn't let them show. At last, the moment arrived. Standing outside his parents' grand house, he took Lily's hand, a reassuring squeeze before they entered. The door swung open and the warmth of the house enveloped them. The familiar scent of cooked pasta filled the air while the laughter of family echoed through the hall. "Ethan! You made it!" His mother rushed forward, enveloping him in a tight hug. "Mom, this is Lily," he said, stepping aside. Lily's eyes flickered to his face, uncertainty swirling in them like leaves caught in a gust of wind. The moment stretched, an eternity, until his mother finally noticed her. "Oh." His mother's smile faded a bit, but she quickly recovered. "Nice to meet you, dear." Lily managed a polite smile, but Ethan could see the walls rising around her. As they settled into dinner, Ethan caught his father's glance, curiosity mingled with the steely gaze of judgment. Each bite of food felt like a ticking clock, the second-hand echoing reminders of the precarious spot they were all in. As conversations flowed around the table, Ethan watched Lily. Her shoulders stiffened, and a nervous flush colored her cheeks. Maybe their connection wasn't enough to bridge this divide. Panic clutched his heart. But then, unexpectedly, Lily spoke up. "When I was volunteering at the community kitchen, I saw how gratitude makes a difference. It's not just giving food, it's about giving hope." The table went silent. His parents shared glances, confusion flickering across their faces. But there was a spark in Lily's voice, a quiet strength. Ethan's heart raced. This was her moment. Would they see the impact of her spirit? Would they let go of their perceptions? As the conversations resumed, he sensed a shift in the atmosphere, then his father turned to her, raising an eyebrow. "And what made you want to work at a kitchen like that?" Lily took a deep breath, hesitating. This was it. Suddenly, anxiety clawed at Ethan again. Would she crumble under scrutiny? Would his family break her spirit tonight? He felt the walls around their lives pressing closer together, but a flicker of hope ignited within him. What he had come to realize was that this was not just about them anymore. This was about acceptance, understanding, and building a bridge that could lead to a different future altogether. He wanted to reach out, but instead, he held his breath as he waited for her to respond. Could Lily stand firm? Would she shine bright in the midst of their expectations? The night was still young, and the real truth was just unfolding. Lily's breath caught in her throat, and the room seemed to lean in, waiting for her reply. She glanced at Ethan, finding a flicker of encouragement in his eyes. It gave her just enough strength to push through her nerves. It started because I wanted to help. Growing up, I didn't realize how many people felt alone. Volunteering showed me that little acts can mean so much to someone who's struggling. It's not just about meals, it's about connection. Her voice wobbled slightly, but she straightened her posture. His father's eyebrow arched higher, clearly intrigued but still skeptical. Connection? With people who have lost everything? You really think that can help? Lily swallowed hard. Yes, I do. Everyone deserves a chance to feel seen, even if it's just for a moment. I saw faces light up with hope when we offered just a kind word or a meal. It made me want to be part of something bigger, to remind them they matter. The silence that fell was a heavy one, as if the air had thickened with her words. For a moment, Ethan thought he might see a flicker of understanding in his father's eyes, but then his mother interjected, her tone slightly defensive. But don't you ever feel it's all just a band-aid? What does that fix? Lily flinched at the question, as if being poked with a pin. Not everyone can fix their situation overnight. People need kindness and understanding. Maybe a band-aid is all they need for now. And who knows, it might lead to something better. Ethan felt a rush of warmth for her as he watched her fight against the rising tide of uncertainty. She was proving to be more resilient than he had dared to hope. His father leaned back, crossing his arms. That's naive. You have to face reality. Helping isn't always productive. A knot twisted in Ethan's stomach. If only they could see the brilliance in Lily's words. Before he could speak up, Lily turned a pair of fearless eyes toward his father. I think the real naivety lies in believing we can solve everything with money or judgment. Sometimes, it's about simply being there, showing compassion. Ethan held his breath. It felt like an electric shock, stirring the air between them. Would this be the breaking point? And then a crack in the wall. His mother's eyes softened, almost imperceptibly. Maybe there is value in listening, in being kind. It can shape a person, can't it? Lily nodded, her relief evident. Exactly. Everyone has a story, and everyone deserves to have their story heard. Ethan couldn't contain his optimism. The evening was shifting. Perhaps Lily was managing to reach them after all. The conversation started to flow again, but this time there was a new texture to them, a willingness to bridge the gap. But just as the tide began to turn, the doorbell rang, interrupting the moment. Ethan's heart sank. Who could it be? I'll get it, he offered, hoping it wouldn't derail the fragile connection that had just formed. Opening the door, Ethan was met with an unexpected sight. A group of familiar faces from the community kitchen stood in the rain, each holding a plate of homemade goods. They smiled warmly, their eyes bright with recognition. We wanted to say thank you for everything you do, Lily. One of them called out, waving a pie. His heart raced with both surprise and dread. This was going to put his family's resolve to the test all over again. How would they react to a cross-section of the community she fought to help? He turned back toward the dining room, his mind racing. Would they embrace this moment of reality, or would it pull them back into judgment? With his heart in his throat, he stepped into the gathering, hoping against hope that tonight would mark the beginning of something beautiful. As the murmur of movement buzzed behind him, he couldn't shake the feeling that life as they knew it was about to change forever. But would it change for the better or worse? Ethan's pulse quickened as he stepped back into the dining room, where the warm glow of lights contrasted sharply with the chill of the rain outside. The moment he re-entered, the chatter of his parents faded, replaced by the surprised gasps of his family. The jovial faces from the kitchen stood there, dripping slightly, yet radiating warmth. Surprise! One of them called out, holding up a plate of steaming lasagna, a gentle steam rising into the cool air. Lily's eyes lit up like fireworks. You didn't have to, but we wanted to. Another voice chimed in, cutting her off with a smile. You've helped us more than you know. We just wanted to show some love back. Ethan's parents exchanged glances, their expressions a mixture of disbelief and curiosity. A palpable silence enveloped the room, heavy with expectation. "See." Lily stepped forward, her voice steady and bright. "This is what connection looks like. They came because they care, because they feel seen." His mother's hesitation was apparent. The tension in the room thickened. "This is unexpected," she murmured, her brow furrowed. "May I offer a slice?" One of the guests asked, holding out the lasagna as if it were an olive branch. His father shifted uncomfortably, choosing to observe rather than engage. He seemed torn between old beliefs and new realizations flickering at the edges. Ethan felt a surge of protectiveness for Lily, who stood there radiating kindness, a stark contrast to his father's skepticism. Lily's smile only grew. "It's just food, but it means the world to us. These are real people. Their stories are worth hearing." Her earnest expression brought a small nod from his mother. It was subtle, but Ethan clung to it. "Do you mind if I serve?" she ventured, as she stepped forward, taking a plate from the first guest with shaking hands. The act seemed to infuse her with confidence. "Of course not." One of the guests beamed. "We brought enough to share." Ethan watched as she engaged with the guests, laughter spilling over like an open tap. As she moved around the table, serving, he could see walls crumbling around his parents. They couldn't ignore the warmth this moment held, even if they tried. "Lily," his father finally spoke, his voice low, "is this really how you want to spend your life? Out there, in that world?" The laughter faded just a touch. The room fell silent as all eyes turned to her. "Yes," she replied, not a hint of hesitation in her voice. "It's messy and hard, but I'd rather be in the rain with them than pretending everything is perfect in here." Ethan felt a surge of admiration for her strength. She was challenging his family's deep-rooted beliefs, one person at a time. Yet, he sensed the lingering uncertainty in the air, like a chorus awaiting the resolve of a final note. A gentle murmur of agreement rose from the guests, their shared experiences knitting a bridge between Lily and Ethan's parents. As the evening wore on, plates were passed, and stories were exchanged. But somewhere amidst the laughter, anxiety hung palpably around Ethan. Would one night be enough to change their hearts? Lily caught Ethan's eye, her expression softening as if she could read his thoughts. In that moment, he knew he had to trust her drive and the ripple effect it might create. Then, as if the universe wanted a last twist, one of the guests leaned forward, a serious expression crossing their face. "I just heard from someone downtown," they began, their eyes glancing toward Lily, piquing everyone's attention. "There's been a surge in people needing help since the storm hit yesterday. Will you join us tomorrow?" Ethan felt a jolt run through him. This wasn't just a moment. It was a call to action. The room buzzed with anticipation, and Lily nodded, determination lighting up her features. But as she turned back to the group, something flickered in her gaze, a hint of doubt that he hadn't seen before. What if this was more than she anticipated? Would she be able to carry the weight? Ethan felt fear creeping in, but just as the thought formed, another realization washed over him: he wanted to be there. 2. "Count me in," he found himself saying. But just then, a phone chimed from his pocket, snapping everyone's attention. He pulled it out and froze. It was a text from his father's business partner, urgent and alarming: "We need to talk. Something's come up with the investments. It's big." Ethan's heart sank. As hope flickered in the room, he could feel doubt creeping back in. Was this journey really worth it? He glanced at Lily, meeting her steady gaze, knowing that whatever happened next would challenge everything they had just built tonight. But in his heart, he felt a pull, a tangle of hope and uncertainty that refused to let go. What choice would he make next? Would he prioritize the family expectations or step into the unknown alongside Lily? With the evening at a pivotal juncture, he wondered what lay ahead, the fragile connections they formed suddenly feeling as precarious as a tightrope. Ethan's heart raced as he stared at the glowing screen, the words racing through his mind. He could feel the weight of his father's expectations bearing down on him. The text was a jolt, an urgent reminder of the world he was supposed to be part of. Across the table, Lily's hands stilled as she noticed his expression. A flicker of concern crossed her face, cutting through the warmth that had filled the room just a moment before. Ethan loved that she cared, but a pang of guilt twisted inside him. Shouldn't he be more focused on his family's business? "Hey, everything okay?" she asked softly, her voice cutting through the haze of his thoughts. "Yeah, just work stuff," he mumbled, shoving the phone back into his pocket. It felt heavier than before. Another guest filled the silence, spinning a story about their experiences helping at shelters. Laughter burst forth again, but Ethan felt out of sync. How could he enjoy this when his life hung in the balance? Here was a group of people connected by compassion, while he was tethered to his father's demands. "Ethan." Lily's voice broke through again, this time sharper. "You're not just here for them, are you? You need to decide what you want too." Her gaze bore into him, filled with fierce determination and unexpected vulnerability. He could tell she was trying to help him see how much this mattered. But could he really step away from the family business at a time like this? The buzz of the gathering faded as his thoughts clashed. "Why do you care so much about this?" he blurted out, frustration bubbling to the surface. "You're in your world, making a difference. Why pull me into this?" Lily went silent for a moment, her eyes searching his face. "Because you're more than just an heir to your father's company, Ethan. You have a chance to help. You can choose to be a part of this right now. I want you with me." Her words hung in the air like the lingering scent of the lasagna, warm and inviting. Around them, the conversation ebbed and flowed, but all Ethan could focus on was her steady gaze that anchored him. The moment stretched thin, filled with unspoken questions. Could he really find purpose here, outside the rigid walls of his family's expectations? He glanced at the guests. They were no longer just strangers, they were individuals with stories, each laughing, each sharing. It felt raw and genuine. The thought of walking away from this moment felt like it would break something inside him. "What if I chose to join you tomorrow?" he found himself saying, the words tumbling out before he could reel them back. Lily's eyes widened, a spark of joy igniting in them. "Really? You would?" That means a lot, but as she spoke, the text message from earlier echoed in his mind. "Something's come up with the investments. It's big." "Yeah, but, what if I can't handle both?" he breathed, the uncertainty creeping back. "What if I let you down tomorrow?" Lily reached across the table, her fingers brushing against his hand. Her touch was soft and grounding. "You won't know unless you try. Sometimes, the best way to learn is to dive into the deep end, even if it is scary." Ethan felt the tension ease, but doubt still loomed like a storm cloud. Could he balance his desire to help with the weight of his family's needs? Just then, a loud clap of thunder echoed outside, a stark reminder of the storm that had brought these guests together. It rattled the window, shaking the ground. The power flickered for an instant, plunging the room into darkness, before light returned, illuminating the worried faces around him. Ethan realized at that moment, life was unpredictable, much like this night. Perhaps it was time to embrace the chaos instead of running from it. He had a choice to make. As laughter bubbled back up around him, he turned to Lily, her face glowing with hope. "Okay," he whispered, feeling a shift deep inside. "Let us do it. Let us help tomorrow." The room erupted into cheers, but Ethan felt the heaviness in his chest. He had taken a step, but there were still bridges to cross and daunting waves ahead. As the evening continued, he couldn't shake the feeling something big was on the horizon, something that could change everything, not just for him, but for them all. What would those storm clouds reveal as the waters rose? The next morning felt different. The sunlight poured into Ethan's room, sparking a faint hope that perhaps today would be a turning point. He stared at his reflection in the mirror, the uncertainty from the night before still tugging at his insides. But today, he was ready to step out of the shadows of his father's expectations. That he dressed quickly, the fabric of his shirt feeling foreign as he moved. For years, he had chosen clothes that shouted success and wealth, not guidance or service. But today, he slipped into a simple t-shirt and jeans, feeling the change already liberating, even refreshing. Outside, the streets bustled. The world felt larger, stretching out in all directions. Ethan felt a mix of excitement and nerves as he headed toward the community center, a place full of promise and possibility. He reminded himself of Lily's words. This would be an adventure. Upon arrival, he was greeted by the friendly chatter of volunteers buzzing with enthusiasm. Smiles were everywhere, as if people wore joy like a badge. He spotted Lily in the crowd, moving with purpose, her easy laughter ringing out. She hadn't seen him yet, so he took a moment to take it all in. A group of children played nearby, their carefree giggles bringing warmth to his heart. For the first time, he felt a shift in perspective, seeing through the eyes of those around him. It was more than helping, it was about connection. Ethan. Lily called, breaking through his thoughts as she spotted him. She rushed over, her face flushed with excitement. You made it. Yeah, it looks amazing here, he said, unsure of how to voice the emotions swirling within him. Come on, let me introduce you to some folks. She beamed, taking his hand and leading him through the crowd. He shook hands with people from various walks of life. Each smile seemed to peel away his self-doubt a little bit more. Energy swelled as they discussed plans for the day's outreach. They divided into groups, Ethan finding himself with a small team tasked with organizing supplies for families in need. As they worked, he found joy in the simple act of giving. Packing food, sorting clothes, it was an unfamiliar rhythm, but it felt right. He even made a few jokes and shared stories with the other volunteers, who welcomed him like an old friend. But while the laughter echoed, a flicker of apprehension remained. He wondered how long this feeling would last. Would his father's voice return to haunt him? Every buzzing notification on his phone pulled him back to reality, reminding him of the investment meeting scheduled later that afternoon. Could he focus on what mattered here when responsibility awaited? Ethan. Lily's gentle voice broke into his thoughts again. She had caught him staring off, lost in worry. A softness filled her eyes. You okay? Yeah, just thinking, he replied, trying to mask his uncertainty. Thinking about the meeting? Or thinking about helping? She asked, her tone steady, as if she could sense his inner struggle. Both, I guess, he admitted, rubbing the back of his neck. I just don't want to take a step back from what is happening here. I know. But you don't have to face this alone. This, she gestured around them, it's a start. It's your choice to embrace it, and you can bring that passion with you wherever you go. Ethan looked around again, absorbing the connection between the volunteers and those they were helping. The way the kids laughed, how the older folks shared stories, all of it was real. I want to embrace it, he said, a newfound determination bubbling in his chest. But then, the phone buzzed again, cutting through the warmth. He picked it up, glancing at the screen. A text from his father, urgent, demanding. Where are you? The meeting is important. Come now. Ethan's heart sunk. Would this be the moment he had to choose? To shift back to his old life, or stand firm in what he was beginning to love? He looked up, meeting Lily's gaze. She was waiting, her expression open and encouraging, but the shadow of dread loomed heavy. He felt the storm clouds of responsibility gathering again in his mind. Do I just leave? Or stand my ground? He whispered, uncertainty flooding his thoughts. Lily stepped closer. Only you can decide, but remember this: sometimes the scariest path is the one worth taking. Ethan took a deep breath, heart pounding. Would he walk away from everything he had known, or take a leap into the unknown, daring to change his life forever? What would he choose as that storm approached? Ethan's heart raced as he stared at the screen, the weight of his father's expectations pressing down on him like a heavy cloak. He looked back at the community center, the laughter of children, the smiles of volunteers. What would he sacrifice if he chose to go back to that meeting? Ethan, Just breathe, Lily said softly. She stepped closer, her eyes searching his. What do you really want? Her question hung in the air, both simple and profound. He felt the warmth of her gaze, grounding him amidst the chaos in his mind. I want to help people, he admitted, a flicker of conviction rising. But my dad. Forget about what he wants for a moment. What do you want for yourself? The words resonated deep within him. The vision of his undoubtedly rich and structured life clashed violently against the vibrant chaos surrounding them. Another buzz from the phone broke the moment. This time, he silenced it, feeling a sense of relief course through him. The tension in his jaw eased as he looked into Lily's eyes. I'm tired of living for him, he confessed, as if speaking the truth out loud made it more real. I want to make my choices, no matter how scary they are. Lily's smile brightened, a beacon in the swirl of his confusion. Then stay. Stay right here and be present. We can do this together, I promise. He felt the swell of determination rise in his chest, that infectious excitement filling the space around them. But then the little voice in his head whispered again, what would that choice mean for his future? Without thinking, he reached for her hand, intertwining their fingers. It felt so right, so simple. In that moment, he leaned into the connection they had cultivated, and suddenly, the scold of his father's demands faded into a background hum. I'm in, he stated firmly, his voice carrying more strength than he anticipated. Let us do this. Cheers erupted as they wrapped up a few tasks together, and Ethan felt a high he hadn't experienced in a long time. The community center buzzed with energy, the air thick with laughter and the smell of fresh cookies baking in the oven. He threw himself into helping the other volunteers organize a food drive for families. The work was spread out over tables covered in boxes and cans, but he was amazed at how naturally he fell into the rhythm of it. He tossed a few silly jokes to the kids, and their giggles rang like music in his ears. He could feel the heaviness of his old life slipping away, like ice melting under the spring sun. With every box stacked and every meal prepared, Ethan realized he was creating something bigger than himself. He was part of a movement that meant something, and he hadn't felt this alive in years. As the day wore on, every call of duty and laughter granted him a moment of clarity. Each interaction with community members deepened his resolve to be the change he so desperately sought. The moment was magic, but then he noticed something. A group of older gentlemen off to the side, their faces lined with worry as they sorted through clothes meant for the upcoming distribution. Ethan could see that they were overwhelmed. Would answering their need push him even further into this new life? Would he be able to dive deeper into this world he was just beginning to understand? Can I help you guys with that? He asked, stepping toward them. They looked up in surprise, and their expressions softened. Oh, sure. We could use an extra hand. As he bent down to help them out, he felt an undeniable shift inside. This was what he had wanted all along, a way to let his heart dictate his actions. In that instant, as laughter filled the air and hands joined together in service, he realized the true significance of choice. There was no turning back now. But as the sun began to set, Ethan's phone buzzed again. This time, he felt dread creeping back into his heart. The screen flashed with another urgent message from his father. You better be at this meeting. I won't accept anything less. Ethan's stomach twisted. Would he still get dragged back into that suffocating world? The question loomed, heavy and daunting. Could he trust himself enough to keep going in this new direction, or would the old life claw its way back in, dragging him into the past? Ethan. Lily's voice broke in, filled with a mix of understanding and concern. He took a deep breath, looking at the determined faces surrounding him. Did he dare to take a stand against the expectations that had defined him for so long? With courage bubbling in his chest, he squeezed Lily's hand tighter. I think I just might. The sunset bathed them in warm light, but the uncertainty remained. Would he finally choose to embrace the adventure or surrender to the past? As he stood there, another buzz interrupted the moment. It was a video call. His father was calling. Ethan's heart raced. Would he answer, or would he let this opportunity slip away? Ethan stared at the phone, eyes wide. His father's stern face glowed on the screen, but his heart was tethered to Lily standing beside him, her presence a steady anchor against his swirling doubt. "You've got this," she whispered, giving his hand a reassuring squeeze that he felt the nerves flutter in his stomach. Could he really go through with this? The thought spiraled, what if he chose wrong? What if disappointment lurked just on the other side of the decision? But with every passing second, he realized that leaving the call unanswered was no longer an option. He took a deep breath, allowing the warmth of the community around him to buoy his courage. "Hello?" Ethan finally said, swiping the screen to answer and locking eyes with his father. "What is going on?" "We've got a meeting to discuss the investors, Ethan." "Where are you?" His father's voice blasted through the phone, sharp and demanding. I'm helping out at the community center," he replied, feeling each word claw its way over the edge of fear. "We discussed this. Your responsibilities matter. Do you realize what this could mean for the firm?" His father's tone remained firm, like stone. The crowd around him continued moving, laughter and joyful sounds swirling. Ethan closed his eyes for a brief moment and drew strength from the day, the laughter, the raw honesty of connections made. "Dad, I've come to realize something important." "What?" "That you can afford to waste time. We have investors counting on you. I've realized I want to make a real difference, not just work for the company because it's expected of me." Each word became a small liberation as he said them aloud. The silence that followed felt like an eternity. He opened his eyes cautiously, scanning the faces of the people he'd been working alongside. Each one held a story wrapped in hope, a feat far sturdier than the burdens of wealth and expectation. "What do you mean?" His father's voice was low now, almost curious. "I mean, I want to be here. I want to be involved with these people, their lives. Helping out means more than just business to me," Ethan replied, his heart racing but steady. "This is a terrible decision, Ethan." His father's voice, once loud, began to soften, replaced by disbelief. "No, Dad, it's not. If you could meet them, their dreams, their realities, you'd understand. It's not just about the numbers anymore." Out of the corner of his eye, Ethan saw Lily's expression morph from apprehension to hope. There was the dawn of realization shining in her eyes that maybe, just maybe, he would choose love over expectation. "Are you really going to throw it all away?" His father pressed. "I'm choosing something deeper than wealth. Something real." As the tension in his chest loosened, Ethan felt the encouragement from the community surge around him. He turned off the call, and in that moment, he felt lighter. He had made a choice that in the days that followed, Ethan stepped more fully into the world he had longed to embrace. Together, he and Lily rallied volunteers, organized community events, and forged connections that turned into friendships. They invested their energy into the city's pulse, each helping hand building a bridge of hope. Ethan discovered that vulnerability was a kind of strength, one that drew people together. It became their new life, a tapestry woven with compassion and truth. One sunny Saturday, they stood together at a community barbecue. Ethan flipped burgers, Lily served plates, laughter and chatter filling the air. As a group of children played nearby, Ethan marveled at how far they had come. "No regrets," he murmured, glancing at Lily. "None," she replied, her smile radiant enough to brighten even the darkest corners of their world. The music pulsed, joy spilling over like a waterfall, and Ethan felt a pulse of gratitude. He no longer lived trapped by chains of expectation. Instead, he flourished, rooted in purpose and surrounded by love. Suddenly, during an impromptu toast, one of the volunteers raised a cup, thanking Lily and Ethan for the changes they had sparked. "You remind us all that love can change the world," they exclaimed. Cheers erupted, echoing around them, and something shifted within Ethan, a deep-seated realization. This was true wealth. Hand in hand with Lily, he took a deep breath, soaking in every moment. This was just the beginning. Their paths intertwined, filled with purpose and hope. As the sun dipped lower, painting the sky with hues of pink and gold, Ethan understood, love had conquered fear. They were blurring the lines between two worlds, igniting a fire of compassion that would only grow, reaching out to others who needed it most. They would not just survive, they would thrive together. Now, friends, here's your chance. You need to subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment your reactions and feelings about the ending below, and share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second to share. Only true fans understand the importance of your support through these actions.